Hi you guys, this is the girl Najma. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy you're here. If you're new to this channel, please do me a favor, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, hit the bell so you know whenever I post a video. I want to talk to you further about why I'm not supporting CNN, why I feel like the DonLemon firing was so much more than what it looks like on the surface, and why CNN just doesn't deserve my, or in my opinion, your business at this moment in time. I pulled up a few articles, but before we really go through these articles, let me just sort of give you a high level here. So the thing is that I have a lot of great subscribers on this channel. My channel is growing. It's by no means a huge channel. It's a small little growing community. And I talk about whatever just piques my mind here. I talk about news, I talk about culture, I talk about, politics, whatever's on my mind. And I've got some great subscribers, and some of my subscribers were like a little bit confused about my stance on CNN and DonLemon because they view him as misogynist. Okay? And as you know, misogyny is a no-go on my channel. Racism, xenophobia, none of that. I'm advocating for stuff outside of that. The thing is DonLemon a misogynist? I don't know. I don't know this man. I don't know this man personally. But what I do know is that white supremacy, and I know people hate that word, but this is what it is. The power structures that are in place in all Western countries have been built on white supremacy. People say, even my husband who's white, he's like, I feel like that word's used too much. What is white supremacy? I mean, we can go in Oxford, we can find a definition of whatever it is, but we know what white supremacy is. It is advancing the white people ahead of everything else. It is the fact that when we turn on the television, the majority of the faces that we see is white. It's the fact that in seats of office, the seats of politics, the majority of those voices are white voices. The fact that black peoples have glass ceilings that are just embedded within everything that we do that white people don't have, okay? And sometimes, white supremacy is something that's been cultivated for centuries. I mean, we're going all the way back to the Crusades, people. This is something that is so deeply ingrained that many times the persona of white privilege doesn't even know when it is holding its privilege, It's embedded in everything. And black people, brown people can be upholding ideals of white supremacy as well. Just think about the Boondocks. If you ever saw that show, The Boondocks, Ruckus. Ruckus is a direct example of how black and brown people can be upholding the values of white supremacy. Okay? Now, the thing is that white supremacy can really use other motives, other distractions, essentially, to detract from the attention that it's trying to pull representation, power, equity away from black people on a systemic level. Okay? CNN, for a very, very, very long time, since I would say probably the mid-2010s, has been becoming less and less and less middle center, They've been becoming more and more kind of veering over towards center right for a very, very, very long time. And it's something that's been subtle. It's something that has been sort of low key, but we've been seeing it happen. And I think that, black people, American black people to be specific, are particularly sensitive to these subtle changes and these subtle curves in the road, because that's the way that our trauma responses have trained us. We came out of chattel slavery. Today, just driving down the wrong street can end us up 6 feet under. Okay? Just meeting the wrong pissed off police officer can get us 6 feet under. Okay? So we're very, very, very sensitive to these things. And the thing is that CNN very recently decided to have Donald Trump on to give an interview. You know, they're giving a platform to this man who has threatened the seat of American democracy, who has caused an environment of deep hate, fear, and violence towards black, brown, transgender women, all types of marginalized voices in America for almost a decade. They're giving a platform to this guy. And DonLemon, they moved him from prime time to a morning show? Okay, just come on. Let's just think about DonLemon's personality for a moment. They moved DonLemon to a show where primarily women watch the show. Housewives. That's not his target. So why would they do that? I wonder why they would do that. Could it be because it was a trap? Yes, it could be. Could this whole front about him being a misogynist, which I really do not think his comments about Nikki Haley came from a place of misogyny. Nikki Haley said neither Biden or Trump are in their prime. And DonLemon said, well, Nikki Haley, according to Google, is not in her prime either. According to Google, people in their 20s are in their prime. So she's not in her prime either, according to this. You please tell me how that's misogynistic. Perhaps we could see, if we look real hard, that that's misogynistic. We look real hard with a microscope. But to me, what that says deeper is that this was a setup. This was just, a Trojan horse, because they always wanted to get rid of DonLemon. Whenever there are strong black voices in a room, just the entire entity of white supremacy, white privilege itself, gets uncomfortable. It gets uncomfortable. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of you right now watching this channel in the midst of typing up a hate message in my comments because you're uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable with the truths that I'm trying to tell you. The truths of a people, of a perspective. And maybe my truths don't represent everyone's truths, but it damn sure represents, as a global scale, the oppression that black and brown and marginalized people have experienced for a very long time, and what is being perpetuated by people who are not using that emotional intelligence. So, with that being said, let me just read to you a few things. So, first I'm going to read to you an article from Al Sharpton. So, and first of all, this article was posted on the New York Post. The New York Post is clearly a right-leaning publication. I don't know if I would call it far right. I don't know if it's up there with Fox, but it's definitely right. Okay, so this article itself is really, when you see stuff like this on right media, it's almost just like an attraction for a bunch of trolls to come into the comments, especially if the publication online does have a place where you can put comments, just to come in there and cause up some ruckus and cause up some chaos. Don't be swayed by trolls. I think a lot of us have the unfortunate event of rolling on to a channel where people with no profile picture, no indication in their profile name of what background they are from, but they're speaking with such finality and confidence that you might just be swayed to believe whatever it is that they're saying. And I find it really interesting when you see things about this scandal with DonLemon. You go on to a post on any social media channel you can choose. Or you see something about Will Smith, slapping Chris Rock. Or any of those other scandals that have involved black people. Scandals, okay? and you go down into the comments and you see people saying, "I never been a fan of him or her. I've always thought that they were a misogynist. I've always thought that they were, I don't even know. I don't even know. You know, it's just like there's a level of finality, confidence in attacking people's character. And you might want to be swayed to say, oh, okay, that must be true. But CNN has new management, and they are Republican. They are Republican. And what's going on with the GOP right now is trying to control the autonomy of women's bodies and their reproductive systems, trying to ban books talking about CRT, and trying to pass a don't say gay policy. Not concentrating on the millions of people who don't have health care in the United States. Not concentrating on the fact that you have to ram yourself into debt just to go to university. Not concentrating on public schools and why we're behind China, you know, why we're behind other countries in terms of our academia. It's not talking about paying teachers better. Teachers who are the brunt of civilization in the United States' terms. It's not talking about how we're trying to put more guns in a country that is facing mass shootings on a regular friggin' basis. Instead, they want to ban abortions, ban you from talking about homosexuality in schools, and ban books about critical race theory or African American history at all. Are you not putting these pieces together? Are you not putting these pieces together? So while DonLemon may have said some stupid stuff, okay, he said some stupid stuff, he was still representation for a marginalized people. And some stupid stuff on CNN's part, not on DonLemon's part, some stupid stuff, some stupid superficial stuff pushed him into, oh, you know, we're going to move him to the morning show. That's exactly how it starts. That's how white supremacy, white privilege, and just this nasty culture that we've built where we see things in black and white, you know, oh, well, he's a misogynist and that's all that he is. You know, he's gotten pushed out. But we're not paying attention to, okay, this is another black voice and voice for civil rights that's been pushed out. So anyway, don't be swayed by some of those voices that you hear. So Reverend Al Sharpton demands answers from CNN over DonLemon firing. This is from Allie Griffin. This is April 26, 2023 from the New York Post. It says Reverend Al Sharpton is demanding CNN provide an explanation for why the network fired longtime anchor DonLemon after the journalist implied larger issues at play led to his ouster. The civil rights activist and president of the National Action Network blasted the cable network for silencing Lemon's voice, which he said brought light to civil rights issues. So think about this, because I have experienced this as well. As someone who spent a decade in the corporate environment and then figured out, oh, no, entrepreneurship is for me, because it seems like every time I speak out about civil rights and the advancement of black people, either somehow I get pushed out of the company or I get gaslit or these microaggression or these just unsavory experiences. You start to put the pieces together. Could it be silencing? So, we are completely stunned at the termination of DonLemon, Sharpton said Wednesday in a joint statement with President and CEO of the National Urban League, Mark Morial. And now, some of these comments on this article want to paint Al Sharpton as the bad guy. Someone who walked alongside Martin Luther King Jr. and has devoted his entire life to others. I really would like to see some of these people in the comments I want to know what they're doing to help the globe. I want to know what they're doing to help other people other than themselves. Because it's just so funny to see how they attack people whose whole existence have been around helping others. They want to say stuff about his tax evasion. I don't even know about Al Sharpton and some tax evasion, unless I hear it out of somebody's mouth, and he's featured on so many national and international platforms. I have never heard one of those international or national platforms talking about him being a morally corrupt person or someone who breaks the law, ever. So this is probably some propaganda that they got fed from Fox News and they just take it for truth, or it just validates some sort of biases that they have. But no, let's not take a look at how much Al Sharpton has done for the black community, for the advancement of black people, for civil rights, for women. Okay, let's not take a look at any of that stuff. Lemon was fired from CNN on Monday and claimed his termination came as a surprise, a statement the network denied. After 17 years at CNN, I would have thought that someone in management would have the decency to tell me directly. So we all remember that statement that Don gave on his Twitter. So Sharpton and Morial said they like to learn what the larger issues are. And I know what the larger issues are. There's no debating about that. It's not very hard to arrive on it. The larger issues are systemic racism. The fact that black and brown voices are continually silenced. Transgender voices too. What is the name of the lawmaker, I think, from Tennessee, who recently got silenced, the transgender woman? You know what I'm talking about. That's what happens. That is the state of the GOP right now. It's just, that's their strategy, to silence brown people, black people, marginalized people, Asian people, LGBTQ people, women, however they can. Young people, it is so important for you to vote in 2024. If somebody told you not to do it, please don't listen to them. Sharpton goes on to say, we would like to know what he alludes to when he said there are greater things at play, which is why we urge for a full explanation as to why he was let go in such a fashion. Was he let go because of misogyny? Is that really what it was? CNN CEO Chris Licht, I don't know if that's Licht or Licht, I think in German you would say Licht, announced Lemon and the network parted ways in a memo to staffers without providing an explanation to his decision. Moving on, I'm kind of scrolling through. So it says, Lemon's most recent gig was co-anchoring CNN This Morning alongside Poppy Harlow and Caitlin Collins. The longtime anchor reportedly screamed at the latter for interrupting him on air and drew public backlash after saying 51-year-old presidential candidate Nikki Haley was past her prime and what was widely considered to be sexist remarks. Widely considered by who? That's what we have to ask ourselves. Widely considered by who? Yes, that's where they end it. And then you go into the comments on here and they just are disparaging all of Lemon's characters. Again, no mention of what he's done for the black community. No mention of what he's done for the LGBTQ community. It's very, very, very sad to watch this state of the world. So Sunny Hostin, this is an article from People. This was published on April 29, 2023 from Nicholas Balassi. And it says, Sunny Hostin says media went backwards with firings of DonLemon and Tiffany Cross. Hostin addressed the recent ousters of two prominent black television hosts while expressing the need for more diverse representation in media. Sunny Hostin, co-host on ABC's The View, told People that she thinks the media went backwards a bit with the abrupt firings of CNN's DonLemon and MSNBC's Tiffany Cross. It goes on to say Lemon was the co-host of CNN This Morning and Cross hosted the Cross Connection on Saturday mornings. I'm going to skip down a bit. Hostin made her remarks at a pre-White House Correspondents' Dinner event on Friday evening. Now, I will mention Hostin is friends with Lemon. It says Hostin shared her thoughts when asked for her assessment of diversity in the media compared to a year ago. She said, "I'd like to see improvement with more representation. I thought, we were in a place where we had people and voices like DonLemon and like Tiffany Cross. I think we're seeing the media go backwards a bit when you're looking at people that have the voice of news and addressing head on in an unfiltered and unvarnished way the real life and lived experience of people of color." She went on to say, "So I'm pretty disappointed actually in the state of things. But I'm hopeful when you see a room like this that there are going to be a bunch of young journalists that will be vulnerable and fearless and just go after it." She goes on to say, "I am biased because I've been his friend for 10 years. Our offices were right across the hall from each other at CNN. I vacationed with him. I know him extremely well, and it doesn't make sense to me. It's not my experience with him. It's not the experience that I saw with other journalists." She finishes by saying, "I was on the ground with him in Ferguson. I was on the ground with him in South Carolina for the shootings there, the church. I have covered many stories, and he has made sure to look out for me. He has made sure to give me airtime. I know for a fact when there have been allegations against him, against some of his team members, he has spoken up and spoken out for women. So it's unfortunate that this narrative is coming out or being played out because I don't think it's true." There is also a New Republic article. I don't want to make this video 3 billion minutes long, so I won't go through it. But there is also a New Republic article that really, really blasts CNN for having Donald Trump on their network, and really tries to hold them to some sense of accountability. You should not be giving this man a platform. This is not a politician. This is a threat to American democracy. And giving him a platform just continues to put us behind. I feel like if Donald Trump had never been president and we had gotten someone like Biden, like Bernie Sanders, like Obama in the office, maybe things like this with Lemon might not have happened. And I think that's the thing that people don't really understand. They're not putting all the dots together. White supremacy doesn't just work in a wind tunnel. Things are connected. And this is connected. If you don't see that, you are a part of the problem and not the solution. Please don't be swayed by anonymous accounts online. Please don't be swayed by anonymous accounts online. We know who they are. They're extremists. They're extremists. They can sit there and say that DonLemon is a misogynist, but they're missing the point. They're missing the point of all that he's done. And the fact that this is an outspoken black gay man, that's a part of why he's gone. It's not just because he made some comments about Nikki Haley. It's not just because he raised his voice at his coworkers. It's because he is a black gay man. It's because he represents black and gay communities in America. It's another way to silence marginalized people. Please be aware of that. I can no longer support CNN. If you want to support CNN, you go right ahead. But I can no longer support it. So, guys, I would love to know what you think in the comments. Please let me know. If you're new to this channel, please go ahead, click the like and subscribe button, hit the bell so you know whenever I post a video. And I'll see you next time. Okay. Bye.